Hello, everybody. Welcome to another stream that's two in like a week. We're all shocked. Shocked, I tell you. All right. I'm trying a new overlay. It's not really, it's covering my name there for some reason, but not like that. How's everybody doing out there in listener land? I see Matt and Retro. Hey, Hyman, how you doing? Hope everybody's doing okay. A balmy negative 17, huh, Retro? Hey, Dark. Hey, Peter. All right. Hey, Rotten Corpse. We're going to give everybody a minute to kind of filter in and then really get into it. Wizards of the Coast did finally respond to all the internet backlash from all the people whining and moaning about it. Like it's the only single game out there they could possibly play. Hey, Mike. But there's also a hilarious petition on change.org and some online feedback that I thought might be fun to go through to wrap it up. So we'll go through those. This will probably be a really short stream. I just wanted to do this because I was bored. Playing a mobile space game, doing some fleet testing. Oh, that sounds fun. It's above freezing here. We're still in the 20s, so it's pretty cold here. Hey, old guy. Hey, best Remy. Ugh, woof, yeah. I hate winter so much. I hate summer more, but mostly I can bundle up for the cold, but summer you can't really strip off too much. So yeah, it's not that bad, but it's still cold, and I don't like being uncomfortable. Hey, Bubba, how you doing, man? All right. Looks like we've got 14 watching, so 47. Wow. Brr. I'm a little jealous. We're not even going to get that high today. We're going to get like 30. It's already 10 a.m., so not going to apparently heat up very quickly. If you can hear the heater in the background, I apologize, but I'm cold, so it's gonna be there until I get warm enough I can shut it off. As I knock everything off the table. 45. Wow. 33. Yeah, I figured you were a little warmer than us. Tennessee usually is. 45 in Florida. That's kind of cold for you guys. Yeah, I like Tennessee. I was gonna move there, but man, your summers are a hellscape. Hey, RV8R, how you doing, man? Long time no see. All right. Like I said, this will probably be a short stream. Just want to go over Wizards' response to the leaked open game license, leaked air quotes, low 20s in Vermont. Wow, that's a sweaty day for you guys. Yeah, we're only at like 22, I think. I could pull it up, but I'm lazy. Gonna be 30 while I'm working today. Ew. Yeah, I tend to stream really late at night. I am actually kind of surprised I'm still awake right now, but I had some caffeine at like 3 in the morning, so probably why. A lot of people are moving here outside the cities. It's cheap cost of living. Yeah, I don't blame anybody for that. Like I said, I almost moved down by Nashville. I was gonna move to Franklin. A buddy of mine lived out that way. He lived out in what is technically Cool Springs, I think. And I really liked it there, but it just didn't work out. The job I was supposed to get fell through at the very last minute. Like I already had my stuff all in storage. So I ended up moving everything back, and it was a giant pain in the ass. Plus, our governor's pretty based. Yeah, well, Nashville seems pretty progressive, but once you get outside of that, there's a lot of normal people. Last day in Washington. Wow, nice. Congratulations, man. I hope the move goes quickly and efficiently. I hope the new place you're going is better. Yeah, I looked at Joliet, but I just didn't like that area as much, and my buddy already lived down by Cool Springs there, so it was really nice though. I mean, there's some cool stuff to do. I'm a big history buff, so lots of Civil War stuff to look at. I did a tour of like Cardington Plantation and Lode's house, and what was the other one? There was you could get these 3 museums all on one ticket for like $30, which was a surprisingly good deal considering how much museums usually cost. Then went to the Parthenon, of course, and a bunch of other stuff. I really like Nashville area, but I don't think I'd live in Nashville. Bit of a high crime rate. Well, Juliet's expensive also. I'm not surprised. So we're getting into Watson lying about their out their ass response. Oh yeah. Yeah, sorry, just waiting for everybody to filter in and getting easily distracted like usual. What's up, Shady? Used to live in the OG Jack Daniels distillery in Lynchburg. Dude, that's cool. Did it smell delicious? I'm not a booze drinker, but some of it smells really good. All right, let's dive into this mess. First, let's look at an email that's allegedly from an insider at Wizards. Hey, Sander. When they had fresh batches of mash, hell yeah, it did. Yeah, I don't mind that smell. I had a buddy that was a amateur brewer, and the house smelled like barley for like a week after he'd make a batch. All right. Nope, that's not what I told you to do, Internet. So this person at D&D Shorts said this is a leak from an insider at Wizards. It's what we feared. The higher ups despise us, the D&D community, and they see us only as an obstacle to their money. That's in quotes. Subs in D&D Beyond are all WotC cares about, so I canceled mine. Let your voice be heard. Hashtags, blah, blah. Okay, it says, hi, I'm an employee at Wizards of the Coast, currently working on D&D Beyond, and with D&D business leaders on the health of the product line. If you want, I can provide proof of this. Sure, dude. Sure, you can. I'm sending this message because I fear the health of the community I love, and I know that what the leaders of WotC are looking at. Ooh, corporate greed. All right, they're briefly delaying rollout of OGL changes due to the backlash. Their decision making is based entirely on the provable impact to their bottom line. Specifically, they are looking at DDB subscriptions and cancellations as it's the quickest financial data they currently have. They're still hoping the community forgets, moves on, and they still can push this through. I've decided to reach out because my time at WotC, I have never heard management refer to customers in a positive manner. Their communication gives me the impression that they see customers as obstacles between them and their money. Oh, so this quote is from somebody's interpretation, not directly from somebody on like the board or something. That's disingenuous. The DDB team was first told to prepare to support the new OGL changes, an online portal where they can, when they got back from the holidays, and leadership doesn't take any responsibility for the pain and stress they've caused others. What, you mean their competition? Leadership's first communication to the rank and file on the OGL was 30 minutes on 1/11/23. That was the first time they even tried to communicate their intentions about the OGL to employees. And even in this meeting, they blamed the community for overreacting. Quite honestly, from a lot of the hyperbolic videos I've been watching, people are overreacting. It's bad, don't get me wrong, but only if you're in the business of making game books or modules. Beyond that, the regular fans are really not going to be too impacted, and people are way overreacting. I'm going to get some hate for this one, let me tell you. I will repeat, the main thing this leadership is looking at is the DDB subscription cancellations. Hope your day goes well. Signed, whoever. P.S. I will be copying and pasting this message to other community leaders. So there's no verifiable proof this person does work there. They probably do, but since it's anonymous, whistleblowing type stuff, you really can't tell. Oh, that'd be cool, Dark. Yeah, I'll hit you up. We totally didn't intend to steal people's creations. Oh no, they totally did. Don't worry about that bit. That's some lawyer talk. That's the part I think everybody's really hung up on, and they should be. But they are also defending their brand, which they have to do if they want to keep it. And a lot of people do not seem to understand that Hasbro does own Dungeons and Dragons. They didn't surrender it to the community. It was not given public domain. And they are still a business, and businesses have to be for profit. You don't have to like that. It's just the way of the world. And they did rewrite this as much more of a standardized licensing agreement than what I think anybody expected it to be. And they were, a lot of the companies were assuming they'd still be able to make a lot of money and not have to pay wizards for the stuff they actually do own. Spells, creatures, that sort of thing. Greed, for lack of a better word, greed is good. It can be. The love of money is bad, not necessarily greed. It's one thing to acquire money and use it for your own betterment, or the betterment of others, but just to have it, having it to have it is kind of pointless. What's up, Brad? Greed is what is causing people to lose their shirt. Yeah. Sock gnomes also steal shirts. Well, they're dick bags. What can I say? I just don't trust WotC. You shouldn't. You shouldn't trust any major corporation. They're all in it for themselves. And apparently this is a harsh wake-up call to a lot of people, that maybe this isn't like a kumbaya friendship circle where they're like, oh, just do whatever you want, man. No, they're a company that needs to make money. They're losing money right now, and they're trying to come up with ways to make money. And a lot of it is they're restricting the open game license to print books and PDFs and EPUBs, because they don't want people making NFTs of their stuff and other like flash games, video games, that sort of thing. And I get that, but they went about this really badly. Yeah, it's from Wall Street. Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with trying to get rich. I mean, who doesn't want a better life? But there's a way to do that without being a complete jackass, So they released an official statement, and they put something up on Facebook that links back to it on D&D Beyond. So let's see how hard the backpedaling is. It's one thing to say, hey, you have to pay us to use our world lore and system. It's another to say we own what you made and can publish it. Yeah, exactly. Hey, JT. Yeah, Bubba, that's where they crossed the line. They really went overboard with a lot of it. I understand they have to have a lot of legalese in there, but trying to say that they can republish other people's stuff and not pay them, that's where you cross the Rubicon. And that should be the part where a lot of other people are upset. But again, if you agree to that, that's on you. That's like entering into a work for hire contract. You have to understand what you're signing when you're signing something. There are going to be people that still agree to this because they're not in it for the money. They're just in it for the like, oh, I got my name on an official D&D product. So there will still be people that go along with this, and they know that. There's plenty of things for the average fan to be pissed at WotC about, both in D&D and Magic the Gathering. This isn't it. Yeah, I think there's elements of this that they should be pissed about. But overall, I think this is blown way out of proportion. You shouldn't trust Wizards of the Coast because they've been churning out crap for 2 decades. A lot of the stuff they've been putting out since 3 Point is shit. They had to revise the 3 Point handbooks into 3.5 within 2 years? Less than that? That's what you should be pissed about, is their low quality, low tier writing and lack of creativity and the ham-fisted wokeness going into it. I'm more pissed about that than I am about them saying, hey, we own this product. Taking other people's stuff is a separate issue in a lot of ways, but them trying to protect their ownership of D&D, I understand that. And that they really did. I've read licensing agreements before, and this is very similar to just a regular gaming license or a regular license if you get any intellectual property. If I want to write a book on Battlestar Galactica, I have to get permissions, and they'll want to check it to make sure I'm not putting in weird stuff where like Starbuck is banging Moffat or something like that, so that I'm not getting too degenerate with it. And a lot of this, I think, is inspired by the wokeisms because they didn't like that people were putting out material that involved like slavery or what they call bigotry. They made orcs evil, stuff, something like that. I think there was a lot of that in that open game license changes. The rest was largely to protect themselves, but then they got to go a little far and sneak in the grabs. But Jack, you can have wheelchairs now. Yeah, disability access D&D. Yeah, stupid. They've just gotten so carried away with everything. So let's look at this dumbass response. Oh yeah. I forgot the most important bit here. Shilling like a whore. So if you want to support the show, it revolves around my crippling poverty. So there you go. There's the link if you want to give me monies. Cut my teeth on 3.5, so I don't know much about the difference between that and 2. The entire system's different. They changed quite a lot. A lot of the spells are the same, damage and stuff are the same, but the way you cast spells and do skill checks and stuff, almost all of it's changed. It's mostly reversed. Bigotry, God forbids, my holy paladin hates the necromancer in the party. Yeah, you monster. Multiverse battles. That's fucked up, Rod. I approve. All right. So let's take a look at this response. It's from D&D Beyond. It's been archived. An update on the open gaming license. When we initially conceived of revising the OGL, it was with 3 major goals in mind. First, we wanted the ability to prevent the use of D&D content from being included in hateful and discriminatory products. Second, we wanted to address those attempting to use D&D in Web3, blockchain games, and NFTs by making clear the OGL content is limited to tabletop role-playing content like campaigns, modules, and supplements. And third, we wanted to ensure that the OGL is for the content creator, the home brewer, the aspiring designer, our players, and the community, not major corporations to use for their own commercial and promotional purposes. Yeah, why would you want your competitor making more money than you? And this is really aimed at Pazio and probably Critical Role, because they're making a bunch of money. Technically, I'm kind of surprised they didn't shut down Critical Role earlier because they're using all their game books and stuff in their videos. So I'm kind of shocked by that, actually, because you'd think they would have worked something out early on. Weirdos, Peter. Weirdos. How hard do you think Wizards is kicking itself in the ass over this? I don't think they're kicking themselves at all. I think they're trying to wait it out and see if it blows over. The only thing they're going to notice is if people start canceling D&D Beyond. And then they'll be like, all right, well, we just need to retool this a little bit, change some wording, wait 3 months, and re-release it. This will still end up largely staying the same. And it'll be in all the new books because they know that people are going to run out and buy one D&D as part of the new books, the all cleaned up rules, however they decide to promote it. And you're still going to be able to, now that they've already got a foothold in major stores like Target and Walmart, they're not that worried. The audience is already pretty small, and it will hurt them in the short term, but most of this is going to stay the same. I would put money on it. Little known fact, but dragons are really scared of disabled people. Yeah, they don't, I mean, them crunchy bits, you know. That's why I stick with homebrewing 2.0 shit. Fuck everything else. Damn right, Dark. Hey, Gunsky. How you doing, man? Yeah, they never should have left 2E, if you ask me. It was fine. Anyway, driving these goals were two simple principles. One, our job is to be good stewards of the game. No, it's to ensure you maintain ownership of it and make money for your company. And two, the OGL exists for the benefit of the fans. Nothing about those principles is wavered for a second. The new OGL does allow fans to create content and give it away. It's where when you start making money off of it, they want a percentage because they understand they own that stuff. They own their elements of it that you're using for free. And there is a very, very big sense of entitlement I'm seeing going around on a lot of these people complaining that they won't be able to use all this stuff from D&D in their modules now. And a lot of the people complaining aren't even content creators for this. They're not even creating modules or supplement books. They're just regular fans that probably won't be making any money off it anyway. 2.0 had just enough rules to establish the universe, but enough vagary to allow for fun. You know, the whole point of playing a game. Yep. And you could manipulate that system pretty well. If you wanted to not use proficiencies or something else, you could just be like, all right, we're not using that section and move on. It didn't affect anything. It was a nice, easy, clean system. It wasn't Star Frontiers easy, but it was easy enough. And there were plenty of supplement books out for it that gave you all kinds of cool stuff to do. Although Giants dungeon delving was a bad idea. I admit that now, but putting a bunch of giants in the Underdark was not a good call. Valuable enough to not break the game, exactly. And there were plenty of rules there to compensate if somebody found some weird loophole because you took something out or added something. So there was plenty of stuff established that you could reference and be like, no, it says here that that's limited, or oh yeah, you totally can do that. All right, and of course we gotta have some D&D references. That's why our early drafts of the new OGL included the provisions they did. The draft language was provided to content creators and publishers so their feedback could be considered before anything was finalized. I haven't heard anybody that is a content creator or publisher saying they got this in advance. As far as we know, this was just leaked. Unless it wasn't leaked by somebody intentionally, which I'm not ruling out. That's bullshit. In addition to language allowing us to address discriminatory and hateful conduct and clarify what types of products the OGL covers, our drafts included royalty language designed to apply to large corporations attempting to use OGL content. It was never our intent to impact the vast majority of the community. Yeah, and it did. It was very clearly worded in the OGL that the real money is going to come from people making over 750 grand, which is largely like aimed at Kobold Press and Green Ronin and of course Pazio. This is largely to keep Pazio from succeeding using D&D's structure. However, it's clear from the reaction that we rolled a 1. Oh, nerd talk. Oh boy. What faux nerd wrote this? It's become clear that it's no longer possible to fully achieve all 3 goals while still staying true to our principles. So here is what we're doing. The next OGL will contain the provisions that allow us to protect and cultivate the inclusive environment we are trying to build and specify that it only covers content for tabletop role-playing games. That means that other expressions such as educational, charitable campaigns, live streams, cosplays, VTT users, etc. will remain unaffected by any OGL update. Content already released under 1.0a will also remain unaffected. I told you they were going to make that change. They were going to leave the old stuff alone because it's not going to matter. They have a new edition coming out. And the stuff that was already out under 1.0a is already out. Most of it's not being reprinted. That book I looked at the other day about the Nile, I forget what it was, but it was published in 2003. It had 1 print run from Avalanche. A lot of this stuff doesn't get reprinted, so it's not going to make a huge difference for the old stuff. So stuff from 3.5 and 5 aren't going to be a huge impact on the new sales because they're going to have enough changes that it's going to alter the way you play the game, and you're going to have to either start revising stuff or come out with a new thing. And if you come out with a new thing, you got to abide by the new rules. It was sent with an NDA. Yeah, well, you always send NDAs to your own employees for this type of stuff. What does inclusive even mean in the context of fantasy gaming? Well, they got rid of they want to get rid of the racial stuff, so races don't have benefits to them anymore, and they also want to get rid of things like orcs being evil and goblins being greedy, just watering everything down basically. And they also want to make it so it's like gay friendly and handy capable. Plazio are a bunch of scumbags that steal fan-made monsters, weapons, etc., and publish them as their own. Fuck them. Oh yeah, so they're late '90s TSR. Nice. Probably from a company that republished old OD&D books. They want to remove actual diversity in the game world. Yeah, the actual diversity, they want to get rid of it. Small tan books. Those were probably right after the white box. Who are you calling old? Oh, yeah. Everyone is the same now. Yeah, and that's boring. I don't know why people want to play that. We're all equally boring. No, that's stupid. That's the whole point of building a character so you can compensate for things your character's bad at. I haven't played since 79. Holy shit, man. Let's see, where was I? What it will not contain is any royalty structure. That's dumb. It also will not include you have to in some way enforce income. That was the whole point of the change. You're just totally backpedaling now. We'll also not include the license back provision that some people were afraid was a means for us to steal your work. It was blatantly to steal work. Well, not steal it. You're agreeing to give it to them. Stealing implies that they're just taking it. No, you have to agree to the terms of the new OGL by submitting your work to them with the form. So that's not stealing. That's you submitting it for them and allowing them to just take it. Oh yeah, here's what I wrote. You can take it and never have to pay me. That's the part everybody should be mad about, not the fact that they're going to make money off of people over 750 grand. If I'm making 750 grand off of somebody else's spells, game structure, and mechanics that I didn't create, yeah, I'm kind of a parasite. I mean, you have to look at it from a business standpoint. Most of these companies are parasites. They're taking something somebody else did and making stuff around it. It's sort of like cheap knockoffs. Sometimes they're better quality, granted, but you're effectively the counterfeit purse companies of gaming. See, that thought never crossed our minds, except it's worded exactly that way. Liars. Under any new OGL, you will own the content you create. You did say that already. It said it in the new OGL. But you also said you're granting us a license to do whatever the fuck we want with it. We won't. Yeah, we know you won't because you said that in the original OGL. Any language we put down will be crystal clear and unequivocal on that point. The license back language was intended to protect us and our partners from creators who incorrectly allege that we steal their work simply because of coincidental similarities. Well, the provision before that worked for what they're describing right now. There was a provision saying you agree by using the open game license that we may produce something similar to what you do. That's different than the next one down that says, and we can use your work. That's very, very different. As we continue to invest in the game that we love and move forward with partnerships in film, television, and digital games, that risk is simply too great to ignore. And that is a legitimate concern they have to have. The new OGL will contain certain provisions to address that risk, but we will do it without a license back and without suggesting we have rights to the content you create. I told you they're going to just cut that section and reword a few things, and that's going to be it. Your ideas and imagination are what makes the game special, and that belongs to you. For now. For now. Couple of last thoughts. First, we won't be able to release the new OGL today because we need to make sure we get it right, but it is coming. Gross. Second, you're going to hear people say that they won and we lost because making your voices heard first forced us to change our plans. Those people are only half right. They won and so did we. Yeah, because you're going to keep every other provision in there, get rid of the one thing that everybody's bitching about, probably change that royalty thing so it's not a royalty, but it's a licensing fee over a certain amount of money, and change the wording that way. I would put money. That's what they're going to do. Our plan was always to solicit the input of our community before any update to the OGL. The drafts you've seen were attempting to do just that. We want to always delight fans and create experiences together that everyone loves. Nah, you don't give a shit about that. You're a company. We realized we did not do that this time, and we're sorry for that. Our goal was to get exactly the type of feedback on which provisions worked and which did not. We ultimately got that from you. Any change this major could only have been done if we were willing to take that feedback, no matter how it was provided, so we are. Thank you for carrying it off to let us know that what works and what doesn't, what you need and what scares you. That's them calling you a pussy right there. Oh, you're scared of an OGL? Oh, make your own system. How's that? Just make your own system. Stop bitching. I don't know why people are this upset about this open game license. I've seen way more draconian stuff, but the one section that everybody's pissed about, I knew they would take out anyway. Without knowing that, we can't do our part to make the OGL match our principles. Finally, we'd appreciate the chance to make this right. We love D&D's devoted players and the creators who take them on so many incredible adventures. We won't let you down. Boilerplate lawyer shit. Now, what they're really saying here is we're going to remove one section, probably reword another, and the rest of it's staying. You still have to submit your work to them so they can check it for bigotry and hatred and all that shit. They never wanted the feedback? No, they didn't. That's bullshit. Hey, Ginger. Yeah, they don't care about this game at all. I'd be shocked if any of them actually even played. Can't create experiences everyone loves. The best you can hope for is to create experiences a lot of people love. Exactly. And it's really pathetic that they're trying to create this illusion of community. No, they're selling a product. Anybody that thinks different is only kidding themselves. They're selling a product to an audience, and the audience they've cultivated is a bunch of crybabies. I'm sorry. They've gotten rid of the old school players that just would sit around and have fun and come up with crazy adventures and stuff like that. Now it's very, very PC. They've watered it down, and they want to reserve the right to get rid of the bigots and haters so that they can cancel the open game license and say you're out of business. And I understand that to a degree because you don't exactly want a fantasy game where that's being marketed using your stuff that is being like anti-Semitic or something. I can understand why they want that, but the way they were going about it to try and do a lazy grab at people's stuff is really draconian and stupid. It was a really dumb move to have that provision in there, especially when there were other provisions that would have protected their product, their IP. One thing I never understood was removing racial differences in the game, like the drow are inherently inclined to evil due to the Spider Queen curse, thing that caused the elf war. Look, those are hate facts. You can't do that because they're elves of color. D&D got notoriety by being seen as bad. Yeah, they've totally gotten rid of that. Demons are no longer evil. You can have good demons. It's stupid. The tieflings are literally demons. Yeah. If it was woke from day one, nobody would know it exists. Yeah. You'll notice there's a lot of Kickstarters and stuff like that, like the one that had the seeing eye dogs and you could play as a blind character. That stuff just winked out of existence. It comes out, it gets supported, funded, published, maybe. This is Kickstarter, you never know. And then it just sort of disappears because they do one run of it. And there's a limited audience for that crap. They need to go back to trying to be broad-based appeal, especially because they had the opportunity with Stranger Things. They could have done a lot with that. Instead, they kind of shit the bed on it. Pretty much, Dr. Dysfunctional. The fuck are they going to do about dwarves and elves hating each other? Oh, no, everybody gets along. Everybody gets along. La, la, la. I mean, the dwarves are being heightist otherwise. You see, it's a never-ending loop. You can never unwoke it. So they can't make it a perfect utopian vision because that just isn't functional. It's not going to happen. There's no such thing. Hey, Deckfish. All right. So people are being really hyperbolic and whiny about this. Most of this is not going to affect really anything. There will be some companies that have to curb some of their stuff, but there will still be people that agree to this terms, no matter how horrible it sounds. They don't care. They're not in it for the money. They know they're not going to make a lot of money off of it. And yeah, they're going to have to report their income on it and stuff like that for the stuff they do create. They're not going to care. They're in it for the vanity publishing aspect of it. Like, look, I did something that they liked well enough that they either copied it or reprinted it, and they're going to be totally fine with that without the compensation because it's not about that. It's about ego and vanity. So there will still be people that would agree to the one that we read last time, no matter how awful it sounds. They don't care. It's not about that for them. And if you're not a company like Kobold or Green Ronin or Pazio, you're not making enough money to really get hit anyway. So you just have to report your numbers to them. And then they'd be like, all right, whatever. But, we might want some of this later. So a lot of people aren't even going to care. And a lot of the companies really won't care either because they're doing one print run of a book. And I really liked, I think Green Ronin did them early on in 3 or 3.5, where they had these little narrow books that were like a sheet of paper folded in half, and they were like quick adventures, and they were less than $5. They were great, great cheap adventures. I've still got a bunch of them in a box somewhere, but they had some good ideas in there. But you saw like 2 waves of those, and then they were gone forever. So most of the people that are mad about this aren't realizing that a lot of the stuff just wouldn't be reprinted anyway. It's already, a lot of the stuff's outdated. They already changed the terms of service once with the OGL by updating it for 5th edition. There wasn't one for 4th edition because 4th edition sucked and they knew it, and they knew nobody wanted to play that boring video game. Whole deals are superior race. Oh, we don't talk about them. We don't talk about them. WotC shit the bed. They're good at it. Just realized my sentence made no sense. I dislike when they took away the flavor from the races. Some races are naturally assholes, and that's fine. But drow tend not to like flowers and saving gnomes. Yeah, fuck gnomes. Gnomes are douchebags. Bunch of gnome illusionists running around. Oh, look at me, I get extra spells. Fuck you. I had a guy that would play gnomes just for the extra spells, and he was such a douche about it. It made me hate gnomes. Like, with an unbridled, unbelievable burning rage. As soon as somebody played a gnome, they'd get struck down by a deity. I love my snake people. Yeah, it's one thing if but see, that's the thing, is they don't want character backgrounds. They want people the modern writers over there are so involved in their own nonsense that they can't craft an interesting scenario. It's all about them as characters. And you see that a lot with a lot of the modern players. They make characters that are basically themselves or an idealized version of themselves. Alcoholic gnome wizard did nothing wrong. Well, he might not have because he's wasted. Sword and board fighter, definitely default Dan OP. Gnomes go in the wood chipper behind pedos, but before furries. They're small. Gnome phobic. They expect every DM to be Matt Mercer. I don't know who that is, but that's probably not inaccurate. Look, some DMs need the help that supplements give them. And I don't mean vitamins, I mean the supplement books. There were plenty of people that needed to use the Fighter's Handbook to come up with new stuff for their players or give new options to their world. But there were others that just pick and chose elements out of there to use, magic items. Rings of Readiness was probably the best thing in the Fighter's Handbook. The Fighter's Handbook was the most useful of the handbooks. Although the Wizards and Rogues of the Realm had some really cool classes. There was a cool rogue class that lets you do like a couple of basic spells. And that was really, really cool. They had some cool abilities later on. So D&D used to have good ideas, but they were structured in a lot of ways that are now politically incorrect. You had evil and good. You had, alignment, I should say, in general. And we live in a very confused time where people don't believe in good and evil, and they don't want to stay within those boundaries. They want to be able to stab someone in the back as a paladin so they could get a bonus for it, and it's ridiculous. Paladins aren't supposed to do stuff like that. So I think they're watering down their own system, and it hurts them doing that, but they don't want anyone coming in and making games based off of their system that go against those principles, that make the game more like it used to be, or making stuff that they consider hateful, transphobic, ableist, whatever. And I think that a lot of people are going to disagree with me on that, but I think that inspired some of these changes. The cash grab probably was piggybacked on by management. But I think the people actually writing stuff, that came up with the idea to revise this, was because they saw people trying to make it like classic first and second edition D&D, where it was much more focused on adventures and killing things and looting and doing all these hateful, unwoke things. Played 40k with a buddy, but I'll do all the math and explain to him as we go along. Yeah, I just want to sling dice and kill stuff. Did he get me too? Probably. Everybody seems to these days. My druid character likes to masturbate to flute music. Well, I guess that's something. Hexblade's best wizard warrior hybrid. I don't even know what that is. That sounds like some 3.5 stuff. I really didn't play much 3.5. We played a couple of campaigns with it, but people would just min-max like crazy. It was way too OP. There was so much power gaming. It was ridiculous. I had one guy that was really good at it. He'd find these obscure classes, and there was this one bard class he somehow broke and made it this insanely powerful thing, and eventually I just had to have a wizard kill him because it was so fucking irritating. Ended up with a life dip to the high elf wizard, great character building. Yeah, that's part of the fun, is you're creating group stories, and they're really trying to kill that for some reason. Yeah, you should always be punished for breaking alignment if you're using alignment. That's the whole point of it. I ran a Ravenloft campaign back in the 90s, second ed, obviously. And I had a paladin that was constantly killing randos. He killed some kid that was escorting them on a mission because he thought the kid was a spy. I'm like, you're a paladin and you just killed like a 12-year-old. He's like, yeah, and I was like, roll on the chart. And he got all mad. He ended up with so many Ravenloft curses that I had to reuse ones. Like you roll on the stage 1 d6, he had like 5 out of the 6 by the time I got him to figure out that he was wrong. And it took his paladin powers away like by the 3rd one. And oh my god, he was so pissed. If I can't roll to play Wishbone on a gnome with my party member, then what are we really doing? That's a fair point. We gotta head off. Oh, take care, Deckfish. Yeah, the paladin kind of needed a reason to think the kid was evil. The kid wasn't even evil. He was just like helping them out because he wanted to lift this curse. It was ridiculous. It was out of a module too. I'm like, you're insane. No, it was just the stock standard paladin out of the player's handbook, 2nd ed. Nothing special about it. Just I am a holy warrior in Ravenloft. I'm like, why do you want to do that? We've seen what happens to paladins in my campaigns in Ravenloft. But nope, he wanted to do it. He's like, I'm going to do this. It's going to be a fun challenge. And then he just went back to his murderous ways. The dude was a little bloodthirsty anyway. May he rest in peace. He's gone now, but not the paladin, the player. He died. Curse you. Yeah, exactly, Matt. Lame basic bitch paladin. Right? But there's always a potential, like, that could be a challenge. There was a while where I wouldn't let them use anything out of the handbooks because they were doing stupid shit with it and just being obnoxious on purpose. So I was like, core book only. And I think that came out of there. But yeah, I was like, why wouldn't you just play a fighter? You always play fighters or wizards, and he wanted to play a paladin, and he just went psychotic with it. It was the most bloodthirsty, murderous paladin I've ever seen. He killed like 15 villagers once too, because nobody would help him do whatever he wanted. It was stupid. Anyway, I'm way off topic and people are leaving. So let's take a look at the LOLsuit, because people just do not understand how intellectual property works. This is actually on change.org. Stop Hasbro's monopoly on Dungeons & Dragons, a class action lawsuit petition. Okay, right away, a couple questions. One, you do realize that they own Dungeons & Dragons, so yeah, it's an actual monopoly. They get to do whatever they want with their own IP. It's how intellectual property works. It's what trademark and copyright is for, saying you can't do anything with my stuff. Also, a class action lawsuit. You have no standing? What are you talking about? Who's going to pay for this? This thing has 4,546 signatures. This is fucking dumb. All right. This was put up by Brandon here. Federal laws do not allow many things, like stupid shit like this. We the people can take legal action against Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast. Why? How? This petition will show law firms and lawyers the basic collection of individuals harmed by changes to the OGL in the game Dungeons & Dragons. The OGL is aimed at businesses, not individuals. Yeah, I feel like they're judging me. Look at... yeah, that's a Karen face right there. Resting Karen face. He looks like fatter Ethan Klein. Now I'm just judging people. We the people of the open game Dungeons & Dragons, there's no such thing, encourage your legal teams to research Hasbro, Wizards of the Coast, and TSR on Google Scholar. Well, TSR is a defunct company, so that's not going to do you much good. They were acquired by Wizards of the Coast in, late 90s? Like 98, 99, somewhere in there. It seems there's a proven history of legal failure by these companies. Citation needed. We, the people of the open game Dungeons & Dragons, will stand together for our rights in the USA. You have no legal rights to the game Dungeons & Dragons. None. Stop Microsoft's monopoly on Xbox. Hey, Anthrax, how you doing, man? It's their IP. You can't do shit legally. This is the audience they have cultivated. You have no legal standing to take something that isn't yours. If they want to let you use elements of it, they're allowed to do that. They also, under Section 9 of the original open game license, can alter that agreement at any time. Nobody read that, apparently, because nobody is reminding them of that. Watered down sovereign citizen. No, this is entitlement. This is people that think they're entitled to other people's work. Which I believe is a very bourgeoisie attitude coming from people that are supposedly fighting for the proletariat more often than not. So it's very entitled to use other people's labor. That was just me, Jack. Ethan, ouch. Yeah, well, I'm a dick, so I don't really care. The only thing this petition will show lawyers and judges is how many people there are out there that need a handler to help dress them up and wipe their asses. Yep. I think Dark nailed it there, fucking retards. Need to talk to an admiral now. Hi. How's it going, tall person? We're just laughing at dummies now. Wizards of the Coast has already been served with a 10-day legal notice by a law firm for a specific client. I'm going to need more information than that to even know if that's got a fireball's chance in Iceland. The Washington State AG and Rhode Island State have been contacted. Whoop-de-fucking-do, you made some phone calls. Who cares? And they're going to be like, all right, weirdo crackpot. I don't even know what a D&D is. Next, the Department of Justice and other federal law enforcement or other federal enforcement will be notified in writing with legal specifics. In writing, or are you going to cut the letters out of the newspaper and glue them on a sheet of paper like a real psycho? What the fuck do you expect the feds to do? The Department of Justice? Are they selling kiddie porn? What are you accusing them of? What are they doing? They're like, oh, these people need to pay us some royalties because they're making too much money off our stuff. Boo fucking who? You have no involvement in that in any way. What is your standing in this case? I'm not a lawyer. I'm not giving legal advice, but I'm curious to know how they think in any way they can sue for this. And these links have almost nothing to do with anything. They're talking about the OGL, yes, but what do these links have to do with anything? Can a private individual sue? It depends on what you're talking about. And in this case, no, you can't. You're a fucking idiot. Third-party creators of Dungeons and Dragons content essentially are facing antitrust violations by Hasbro. No, they're facing copyright and trademark violations. In addition, they face a breach of contract. So breach of contract, it says in Section 9, they can change the OGL. In OGL 1.0a, it says that. I read it on the last stream. They're allowed to change the contract, the OGLs, because it's their property. Department of Justice. Oh shit. Yeah, it sounds scary. Semi-religious holiday meant to show respect to donkeys because one carried the Virgin Mary while she was pregnant with Jesus. Oh, did not know that. You're fucked now, Hasbro. Yeah. Feel bad that the client is going to pay all of Hasbro's legal costs. They don't realize that, I don't think. Federal court is incredibly expensive, and they will end up paying the money. Wish they picked a better name, though. Real nerd. Oh, what? Zan? Being all nerd and the cultural appropriation. Gonna need Nicky the Nose on this one. If this ends up going to court, yeah, I'm sure he would cover it because this will be funny as shit. I would love to read the depositions on this. Right module with the teachers at the Magic Academy complaining about transitioners and non-binary. The DOJ will definitely investigate that, right? These people are dumb. Yes, they are. Yes, they're very dumb. That contract has been in place for over 20 years. It's not a contract. It's a license. And like any license, it can be changed and revoked. It said so in Section 9. I wish I hadn't moved that out of reach, or I'd reread it again, because it specifically says that they can modify the agreement. These people are just fucking idiots who are apparently illiterate. And they already modified the agreement once when they went from 3/35 to 5th edition. Because they didn't have one for 4th edition, they had to update it for the 5th edition to include the new logos and spell changes and stuff like that. So it's already been modified once, which sets a legal precedent that they can modify it, because nobody said shit then. I have a divine right to Gary Gygax's throne by proving I have 34 instead of 32 teeth. I'm taking it back, Hasbro. Right? You could be head barbarian in your tribe, too. When you played D&D. I miss the 80s D&D stuff, man. They had so much good stuff. 99% of clauses of license of clauses say the company can revoke or modify the agreement at any time. Exactly. And if they can modify the agreement, they can modify the section that says that anyone can use it. They can absolutely do this. And people are deluding themselves that they can't because they're upset about it. And I really don't get why most of these people are upset about something that doesn't impact them at all. There will still be people that agree to the new terms, that still produce content, and a lot of the companies that already exist will just make their own systems, which they probably should have done from the beginning. They could literally revoke the license individually. Yep. I read the original and I read the new one on the last stream. These people have no idea what they're talking about. They don't understand how business works. They don't understand how licensing works. And they just want the free shit. Finally made a live stream. Woo! Oh, nice job. Welcome aboard, comic guy. It's just me complaining about people I think are stupid. So, pretty normal stuff. There's no antitrust violation. There's no breach of contract. They'd have to really find some legal cases for me to look at for that to be a real thing. I looked at this earlier, and it didn't really seem to apply to this. Not even in a really loose way. So Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast cannot effectively communicate to persons with disabilities who are also content creators. This violates federal law and causes emotional distress in persons with disabilities. Are you seriously trying to claim America with Disabilities Act for Dungeons and Dragons? I was the lead plaintiff in the class action lawsuit against DraftKings and FanDuel. Plus, I have experience in the Americans with Disabilities Act. See, you've already sued over frivolous dumb shit? ADA website compliance. Are you fucking kidding me? This is what's wrong with the legal system. This is frivolous nonsense. All right, I'm going to have to watch this video later because it's going to enrage me. And that sounds fucking dumb. Frivolous website ADA compliance. Fuck you. That's for like sidewalks so people can get into federal buildings. And you want to... Oh my God. Wow. Do you fake fall down in Walmarts too? Oh, it's slippery. Give me a pile of money. They can't communicate with people with disabilities. Fuck off. That's it. That's the entire thing. And they want you to sign up. Let's read what some of these tards say. We got Anthony here. The OGL built D&D up just as much as officially released products did. Now WotC's trying to cash out and screw third-party creators. This is wrong and will kill D&D. Well, it might be ethically wrong to you, but they're allowed to do it because it's their product. Dungeons & Dragons is owned by Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast. You don't have to like that. It's just a fact of life. And if they want to kill third-party creators that are creating content using elements of their stuff, they're allowed to do that. Will it impact D&D? Probably chase a few people off. But they'll still be publishing stuff. And they're probably trying to clean it up anyway because the movie's coming out, TV shows in development, and maybe they want to sell it to Tencent after all. I'm signing because WotC should have to honor the original OGL. And not only that, any future creator who wants to make content should be able to use the OGL as originally intended by those who wanted to use it 2 editions ago. As originally intended for 3rd edition. So you want it to apply only to 3rd and 3.5? Is that what you're saying? And I think it's clear that before now, WotC never made an effort to protect the system that created from that sort of third-party content. Oh, they did. They've sued people before. I think it's a pretty one-sided case that the OGL should remain in place, and that any prior system that used the OGL as a base should be able to perpetuate that old AGL, since they also used said system. Well, life's full of disappointment, buddy. I want to see a big enough class action that it doesn't just settle for a settlement, but it must officially seal the original OGL for 5e into law and prevent any future abuse from WotC. No, that's not how that works, dude. The court is not going to be like, this is now a law. That courts don't make laws technically. I mean, they kind of do now, but that's not going to happen. Owen says, as a D&D content creator, I cannot stand by and let this egregious display of corporate greed go ahead unchallenged. I want to keep making money off somebody else's creation. The original OGL 1.0a is the core of D&D's widespread success, and reverse it in such a way is madness. It might be a bad idea from a business standpoint with a lot of these fans. Madness, though? That's a bit hyperbolic. It's probably smart to allow third party because that usually grows and brings in people, but it's their living. It's their thing. Yeah, they still own it. They can modify the agreement and say, hey, you have to send us your sales numbers so we know what's selling and what's not. And they're not saying you can't make content. They're just changing the terms of that ability to do so, saying now you have to send us a copy of your book and we can veto it, basically, because we think it's harassment or transphobic. In a way, they are protecting their brand, but that one clause is where they're overreaching, where they're saying they can republish your stuff, and we can basically take your product and sell it as our own. I don't agree with the OGL 1.1, and Hasbro is no friend to any role player or gamer. No, they're a company. They're not friends with anybody. They're friends with money. Greedy. Well, that's what business is for, making money. I think I'll be boycotting or botcotting, is what that says, any of their products and movies. D&D movie, for example. Okay, the movie's going to appeal to normies. And if they're smart, it's going to be a PG-13. They're going to aim it at younger people to get them to buy D&D. And time it so that it comes out around the same time as one D&D, so it moves new product. They've already got product in Walmart, Target, all the big box stores. That's all they need is a successful TV show or movie, and it's going to go right back through the roof on sales because young people that know nothing about D&D are going to want it. Yeah, they probably want Braille guides. That wouldn't surprise me either. When live gets to be just too much, just throw on some music. Yeah, pretty much. Handrails in better be 36 to 40 inches on center. Yeah. Oh man, this and I'm sorry, barkeep, we must sue you now because your tavern is not compliant. Is that what they want? Is they want to water it down to where the fantasy games have to have wheelchair ramps and stupid shit like that? That's weird and dumb. Hey, they created this audience, JB. If they're chasing away the wokies, they've already alienated most of the old people that used to play. So this is the audience they created. Fuck you, wizards. Well, all wizards or Wizards of the Coast? I think you need to be a little more specific because that is very, very disingenuous to actual wizards to tell them to fuck off for what some tabletop role-playing company did. Unless that's an offer, are you offering to have sexual relations with wizards? Hasbro Wizards of the Coast are clearly trying to monetize and monopolize the tabletop role-playing game market. You mean like they did it all through the 80s? With no thoughts toward the millions of creators that have kept Dungeons & Dragons live throughout the years. No, they're thinking about you and how much money you're making that they're not. Someone needs to start an online D&D campaign where the players root out trannies, execute commies, beat up cripples and women, and are super racist. I'm kind of surprised that hasn't happened, actually. With the OGL, I'm surprised there wasn't, like, some edgy boy out there making a death squad simulator where they round up people for concentration camps while wearing Nazi tattoos. Because under the original OGL, you could absolutely do that. You'd be destroyed for it. But if you're a real edgy boy, you could have done it. There are both Braille and audio D&D guides for the blind. Wow. Okay. Well, that never knew that was a thing. Isn't the tabletop gaming industry meant to make money? You know, like a business? Look, Matt, your hate facts have no place here. We're mad now because they're taking away the free. Give me 10 players in a month and I'll make it happen. Sargon did a Nazi vampire versus commie werewolf campaign for a while with some folks. Oh, yeah. It was, man, that's disappointing. If they'd made that into like a campaign setting book and actually sold it, I would have had pretty mad respect for the effort for it being so funny. But I'm kind of surprised during like the Kekistan era that nobody wrote a Kekistan setting and sold it under the open game license. It would have driven Wizards up a fucking wall because they really wouldn't have been able to do much. They would have put a stop to it eventually with just burying people in legal work, but it would have got out there and it would have been funny. And watching these people's heads explode would have been worth it. Well, paladins are kind of irritating to put up with, let's be honest. They're fun sponges. Not allowed to have fun around them. Many third-party companies rely on original open game license to create original content. Well, that's on them. You put all your eggs in one basket, that's your own fault. What they should have done, and what a lot of companies did do, like Chaosium, they left their rules set in there and then added the OGL stuff on top of it so you could choose which one to use. By just relying strictly on the OGL, they put all their eggs in one basket and they ended up like candle makers when electricity was coming out. They're like, oh shit, we're outdated now. Somebody's come up with another product that's putting us out of business. And you don't get a bitch about it when you have a lack of forethought like that. You relied entirely on the open game license. That's your fault. You should have had a backup plan in place already. Anybody that didn't see this coming does not understand how business works. Of course, if it was wildly successful, somebody's going to be like, we can profit off of this. I mean, that's what the third parties are doing now. They are profiting off of Dungeons and Dragons. Why won't D&D turn the tables on them and say, you're making a bunch of money off of us, let's make some money off of you? Especially when they see how successful things like Pathfinder are. Pathfinder is wildly successful and in a lot of ways more successful than D&D because they're doing something different. Although they've cucked so many times anyway, it's not surprising a lot of people are leaving them. But there are, and a lot of people are saying, oh, Pazio's got their own open game license coming out. A lot with all these other companies on board with it. So fucking what? They could turn around and do the exact same thing that Wizards is doing right now in 5, 10, 15 years. It doesn't matter. Just make your own system or make your game books generic so that you can allow it to be used with any game system. You'd have much better longevity and better cross-play so that any game company books are compatible with it. It might take a little tweaking, but if you're going to be reliant on somebody's open game license, you have to be aware that it will be modified or manipulated or revoked at some point. Because even with the one coming out from Pazio, I guarantee you that in 10 years, if they come out with a third edition of Pathfinder, they'll say that open game license only applied to second edition. You can't trust major corporations to not screw you if they see you're making money off of their stuff. Third-party people need to learn how to code. You know, there's that too. So, yeah, I just don't understand why people hadn't thought this could happen. Okay, even the likes of Critical Role or Fool's Gold, I don't know Fool's Gold, wouldn't have been made possible without the open game license. Yeah, and Critical Role made millions of dollars doing it. That doesn't mean that Wizard isn't going to look at that and be like, "Hey, we should get some of that because they're making money off of our products." As such, it's not right that this company is trying so desperately to make money off their own fans' hard-earned work. Yeah, but the fans are making money off of work they crafted around somebody else's product. I don't get to take the frame of a Ford Escort and the engine of a Ford Escort and build something around it and say it's my invention, because it's not. I'm still using things from something else. This is a betrayal to the people who always stood behind D&D over the years one way or another. Well, you're being a sucker doesn't mean anything. I've played D&D for 3 years at this point. Oh, you veteran, you. And it's one of the things that brought me and my friends together. I cannot in good faith support a company that wants to steal content created by people who just want to play their game. They're not stealing from people that just want to play the game. They're stealing from people trying to sell things. Or, in the new case, yeah, they are. If you're giving it away, they can steal it then too. But yeah, that's the clause that everybody's really pissed off about. And I guarantee you they're going to take that out because the clause above it worked just fine for protecting themselves, and everything else is going to be slightly worded differently, and they're going to stay the same. Do not believe that big companies should have the right to go after the community that made them what they are like this. Change does not happen unless a group of people stand up and say they're going to not take it anymore. They need us. Oh, you're going to protest? You can have a little rally out in front. A bunch of fucking nerds out in front of a corporate building looking like tards. Good luck with that. They need us, not the other way around. Let's remind them of that. No, they don't care about you as an individual. They don't care about any of the 4,000 people that signed this. I'm sorry, they don't. They already got your money, and they know there's a new audience out there because they have a movie and a TV show, probably a couple video games coming down the line with a new system that they know a lot of people, much like the Velma show is a good comparison to this, because if you think about it, people are hate watching that so they can make YouTube videos. By hate watching it, they're giving HBO Max the numbers they wanted. Star Wars did the same thing. They didn't give a shit about the fan backlash. They still made Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker, and it was a giant turd fest. But everybody that bitched about it went out and saw it opening day. How many times did you see somebody put out a video review of a movie or a product that they absolutely hated, but they still went and watched it? They still went out and bought it because it still had that label on it. People will do the same thing with one D&D. They will go out and buy the core books. Yeah, some of them are going to download it off the internet for free off some shithole Russian torrent site. But most of them are still going to go buy the books because they know that their friends want to play the new system. Or there's going to be enough people out of the group that buy it that everybody else ends up buying it too. Whether they buy it cheaper off Amazon or some sketchy dude's minivan or something, they're still going to buy it. They're still going to use it because it's the new system. They want to see the new products that are coming out. They want to play the new products, no matter how shit they are. Spelljammer was a big pile of dog shit when they re-released it, and they gutted the fucking aliens. But people still bought it, and it was garbage. It was a steaming pile of $150 dog shit. Old game system that's relatively successful based on being generic. GURPS. Yeah, GURPS and Hero System. And even the Chaosium fantasy games. They're very generic. You can use them for anything. Riffs. Great example of that. Why did the big money third party try and sell themselves to WotC? I have no idea. I'm no dog in this fight, as I still found a tabletop RPG that's a mix of sci-fi and fantasy that I really like. Keep looking, saying there's some good stuff out there. Sci-fi fantasy mix is really hard to do, but I'm sure there's something out there for you. You might have to go into the discount bins and look at old stuff. So the thing is, nobody wants to side with wizards, even if they are in the right. Oh, absolutely. And it's a hate mob that's mad about stuff that really largely doesn't apply to the core audience of just players. It's not going to impact them. I'd be more pissed they're charging for D&D Beyond. because that's really more annoying. You want to piss off wizards, you cancel that shit. Find the 40k rules online for free. What's the difference? Generally curious. With tabletop RPGs, see, Games Workshop makes money off of the minis, not the rules. The rules make some money because you're buying it for the like a paperback copy with the like measuring tape and the dice and the terrain and all that shit and starter stuff. But with the tabletop role playing game, the money really does come from the books, from the core rule books mainly. $150. I haven't bought a book worth that much since I was forced into college, right? Well, it's not worth it now either. It's just like those college books. You can resell it for a pittance of what you paid. You ever played the old Marvel tabletop RPG from the late 80s? Oh, yeah. Yeah. I haven't played that. And we had a short-lived campaign that was really good back 2005. But that one broke up because we had this British dude playing with us, and he ended up having to go back to England. He was also running a Stargate campaign, which was a pretty fun game system, actually. He had to go back to Britain. His wife got real sick, and he took her back so the NHS, their medical system, could take care of her. I think she died fairly shortly after that, and he never came back to the States. But yeah, I liked the Marvel game. It was really simple. It was aimed at younger players, but I didn't mind it. We actually tried to convert it over to Star Frontiers because we all liked that system a little better. But in 2005, we played it again. It was fine. Some did, but they were offered was likely not worth much. Yeah, well, you know, when it's basically a knockoff of what they're already producing, and let's face it, most of these companies that are affected by the OGL aren't making anywhere near as much money as Hasbro is. Even though D&D isn't doing that great right now, these other companies are equally not doing that great. And most of them don't have any money because they're very small press stuff. It's really not making a whole lot of cash. That's why you don't see the magazines anymore. That's why a lot of the stuff that pops up for one or two modules or supplement books and then vanishes. There's not a lot of money unless you're successful, and a lot of the stuff is really amateur hour. Much like indie comics. If you're trying to produce the next big thing, you really have to sell it. You have to build a fan base and keep producing work. And most of these places aren't willing to invest the money to have some of the stuff done in advance, produce it, and then immediately start on something else. The time commitment's too much, the money commitment's too much, whatever it is, they're only producing a little bit and then fading out of existence. Off topic, but I just thought of Ozzy. Fuck, I hope the NHS doesn't kill him too. We all hope that, JB. Yeah, Ozzy's getting up there in the years. So a lot of the people we grew up with in the 80s and 90s are dying off from various things. So it's a rough time to be aging. Let's see. We got Hunter here who said, I don't trust people named Hunter most of the time. They might kill me. They're hunters. Or worse, if you're Hunter Avalon. Hello, folks. As a D&D content creator, I recently received the news on the new OGL 1.1 and read the nearly 9,000-word document WotC and Hasbro have implemented. Despite the OGL not directly, if it doesn't affect you, then why are you fucking writing this? Damn it, where'd that go? Oh, God, this is long. You're bitching about 9,000-word document, and you write this one paragraph. Nice work, dude. Despite the OGL not affecting me directly based on the revenue I make from creating D&D content, it is something that liberally condemns people from... What? You're bad at this. Liberally condemns people from creating monetized works using D&D. Once again, whilst my revenue does not exceed the 500K yearly market income, many of our beloved creators, such as Matthew Mercer, XP to level 3, Mr. Rex, Crit Crab, I don't know who most of these people are. I don't follow this shit very closely. And other beloved creators who have released supplemental content for the game will be forced to conform or get sued for their extra additives to a game where you can be anything. Yeah, that's what it says. Yeah. For those who make $750K yearly, will be forced to pay 20% royalty, reduced if no, it's 25%, and it's reduced to 20 if you do it on Kickstarter. But no reduction for Patreon users. Yeah, you're still profiting off it. They want a slice of money. On all revenue they make from sales from a company that makes 125 million in revenue from D&D alone yearly. Yeah, and the more money you make, the more money you make. That's how business works. You're trying to make more money, trying to cash in on the stuff you produce. I don't believe that a company netting 1.3 billion from all sources yearly should attempt to impose a royalty cut on our creators in a game that endorses the only limit to your creation is your imagination. In the game, not in the real world, dum-dum. Those are different. Your game is not reality. Harsh to hear, I understand. But somebody had to tell you there is a line. And it's not real. That's why it's called fantasy. And just that because they make 1.3 billion doesn't mean they should give away their stuff either. As a creator of supplemental content, ooh, you're fancy. I don't think that WotC should have the right to claim your content at any time. Oh, I agree with that part. As their own and not pay you royalties, but can impose royalties on your created content and force you to report your annual revenue to them if your creation is successful. That's standard licensing agreement. If I were to license Batman from DC Comics, they're going to want to know my plan of action, my business plan, how well my company's financed, quality control, revenue, and they're going to charge me a licensing fee. And they'll probably charge me a royalty fee on top of that. So I'll pay for the license up front, and then they'll take a cut of the profits. That's normal business. This guy's in business. He says he's a content creator, and he makes less than $500K a year. Do you not have an accountant? Have you never talked to an accountant? Have you never looked up text code? Have you never signed an agreement on anything? This is more and more like the people that don't want to pay their rent and expect landlords to let them live for free. You're using someone else's stuff. You have to pay for it. Now, they've let people not do that for a very long time. And yeah, I understand you get used to that. That doesn't mean that the free ride keeps going. I don't think WotC should have the right to claim your content. I read that. I believe that there are creators out there who are skilled at creating content for your game that continues to keep the community alive. They should be allowed to do that without a larger corporation monopolizing their content for a quick buck. While I understand the OGL is supposed to protect the community from crypto scams and NFTs, there could be other solutions to this issue that I haven't even heard of being an actual problem until or even after the OGL's announcement. If Hasbro really thinks they win this war against the population of chaotic good nerds who were taught min-maxing and write information down to be used at a later date, they're sadly mistaken. No, they have better lawyers than you, and you have no concept of how the legal system works. If we lose, we move to Pathfinder 2E. So that what's it going to be, Hasbro? Do you want to keep your last loyal customers, or do you have to want to be greedy and watch your customers leave for a company that supports creative freedom? All right. I said this on the last stream. I think I'm going to say it again. Pathfinder is likely going to do the same thing somewhere down the line. And more so, since Pathfinder is largely based off of D&D 3.5, what Hasbro's likely going to do is when the second edition book comes out, their legal team is going to scour it for any remnants of their creative works left in there. And if it's too similar to D&D 3.5, they're going to sue the shit out of them. If they've left one spell in there, or one name of a spell, if Big B's clenched fist appears in the text anywhere in that book, they're going to sue them and make them do a recall on it. And that's going to cost them a ton of money. People that come out best from this unintentionally are the companies that are making tabletop neutral materials, ones that can be used for any game. Absolutely. And I said it last time, Mayfair Games, Rolaids, they won a lawsuit against TSR back in the day because they were making generic modules. Because there are elements of game mechanics that you can use that they can't touch you on. And knowing where that is the best part. Because then you can create generic modules, generic supplement books that can be used for any game system. And those are absolutely the people that are going to win. What? I'm really 8 foot tall with 2 hearts and 2 sets of lungs? I'm sorry, you're not, JB. Posio support creative freedom. Bah! Right? And again, they're going to find anything they can to shut Posio down. And that's what this open game license change is really about, is Critical Role and all these other people that are making lots of money off of it. Posio is their number one competitor. They're going to find a way to try and shut them down. Revoking or modifying the OGL is a great way to do that. And even though Pathfinder has said they have drifted away from most of Wizards content, they still have a long history of the majority of their library being under the OGL. So even if they take out a bunch of it, Wizards can still try and sue them for being confusingly associated with them because of all the past library. And they're going to try and shut them down any way they can. There are a lot of legal theories they can probably run with, but I guarantee you their lawyers are salivating at the chance to sue Posio. Yeah, Nightmane, sorry, we're probably going to wrap up soon. So what about all those channels saying this is the end of D&D? How far off are they? There'll be an initial hit, and they probably will lose a lot of people from like D&D Beyond. They'll lose a lot of players. But if they're smart, they'll adapt very quickly. They have a TV show coming up. They have the movie coming out. If they release one D&D around the same time as that movie, it'll hit the stores and it hit the ground running. If that movie's even remotely good, because it's got like Chris Pine and some other recognizable people in it, if it's even remotely entertaining to adolescent boys, they're gonna recoup their losses there. And if they're smart, they'll have like a campaign setting, a starter set will be less than $30, be a box set. They'll have a campaign setting book and the player's handbook, DMG, monster manual, all ready to go. Maybe a couple other books ready to go, and release them all around the same time as the movie. And they'll want to do that in time for Christmas or a major holiday, and then have like a gift bundle ready for the holiday season. And they'll recoup a lot of their losses. Creative freedom, sucking off someone else's creation. I don't think you know what that means, right? It's hard to say they're stealing my creative freedom when you're leeching off of their creation. There are plenty of other roleplay games out there. This is not an attempt to dominate the gaming industry in the way they think it is. They're trying to dominate the gaming industry by just flooding the market with their stuff, but by getting rid of the clingers and the little parasite fish that are feeding off the big shark, they're trying to make D&D prominent and get rid of the third-party stuff. Yes, they are doing that. And they are still the big dog. It's them and Pathfinder. And Pathfinder's their only real competition. I mean, honestly, how many people are using the Chaosium fantasy system or Warhammer RPG? Warhammer RPG is probably in the top 5, because at least that has a lot of supplement material now. Trailer isn't a good indicator of quality. Yeah, I'm not surprised, but I think it will bring in a lot of people. Plus, Stranger Things will have another season, apparently. So they'll still have some D&D references there. That's getting people to buy it. I know there's a new starter set coming out. I'm sure that'll be interesting, and it will sell. And a lot of people that are bitching are still going to buy the books. They're going to buy those core books, at least the player's handbook. That's where the real revenue comes, is all the player's handbooks. Search more new TTRPGs. I found a good one that's someone based on Rome at a convention. Oh, nice. Yeah, there have always been other role-playing games. They're just not as popular because D&D dominates the shelves. And this will bring a lot of people making their own systems. Almost every nerd that played D&D for a long time had an idea for their own RPG, and it's sitting in a box somewhere, and they can dust that off and make their own. Maybe that'll be the next big thing. Who knows? D&D has been on the skids before, and what Hasbro would do if it lost enough money is just sell it off to somebody, and somebody else will do a resurgence of it. So it's not like this is a new thing for the Dungeons and Dragons brand to face people leaving it. Vampire the Masquerade put a really big hit in them for a little while. Well, I thought Pathfinder was an official D&D offshoot before I tried it. I did too. I thought it was like Eberron or one of the other quasi-official things. So yeah, there's a lot of potential here. If you're really smart, you create an alternative to D&D that is significantly different, but keeps the feel of like the original D&D. Bring back those old fans who have money and want to get their kids or grandkids into D&D. The crowd that D&D has cultivated over the last 5 to 10 years is largely boring, unimaginative people, and they're not very fun to play with anyway. So I don't know why they're going to try and cater to that crowd. But if you want like old school adventure stuff, your best bet is to just create your own. D&D is a clear go. Yeah, they've been around the longest. They have the most supplemental material out there. They have brand recognition, and they know they can get away with most of this. They'll take that one section out saying they can use your stuff without paying you for it, and the rest will stay. They might word some of it differently, but I can guarantee the majority of that is staying. And if they take a short-term hit, they're thinking the longevity. They know they got a movie, they got a TV series coming out, they've got all this other stuff coming out. They're banking on that. And if it hurts them with a lot of these players, they're not really going to care. They're going to put up the, oh, we really do care. But they know they've been producing shit for a couple years. And maybe they'll fix that. Maybe they won't. People have been buying it. People bought Candlekeep Mysteries where there was handy-capable ramps. They bought that stupid Harry Potter knockoff. People are still buying enough of this that it is still making money. Bring back Thaco, keep the normies out. I agree, Cracked. I'd like to see Second Ed come back. I never really liked Magic the Gathering. I played it for a while during Alpha and a little bit after the Unlimited came out, but just never got into it. Have you ever read Rick and Morty D&D? I haven't. I'm going to search for a review by now. I've seen it. I haven't looked at it yet. I don't know if I even have a copy. I had a copy of the Stranger Things one. That adventure wasn't bad, actually. It had a unique adventure in there, but it had a little Demogorgon miniature. It had 2 of them. They were pretty cool. But the Rick and Morty one, I've heard mixed things about, but it looked okay. If you like Rick and Morty, you'll probably like it. Makes me want to create my own. Really made me think about getting into TTRPG, give it a read. I'll have to check that out, saying I'm not familiar with that. I don't read manga, so I'll probably forget. Who am I kidding? But yeah, if you want to create your own, do it. You could publish it through Amazon or somewhere else and make your own thing. Do it. Everybody should. If you don't like the systems out there, make your own. GW openly tells his fans to get fucked. Yes, they do, because they know they have a monopoly on it. And there's a lot of people making like knockoff stuff for Games Workshop, and I don't blame them. But GW has been monopolizing the sci-fi wargaming market because their fans are diehards, and they know they can tell you to fuck off, and you'll still buy that $50 box set of 5 plastic minis during the Zendikar run. Hence why I love Eldritch Plane Devouring Monsters. Really awesome. Oh, wow. The Zendikar has been, 10 years now? Just to really get arrested for beating his girlfriend. I saw that. Well, the Hollywood people, they're all garbage. Drive Through RPG, yeah, you can publish through them, too. So yeah, make your own system. Who cares? Do your own thing. Uh, there's a lot of really creative people out there that are going to talk a mean game and then do nothing. They're gonna say, "Oh yeah, screw D&D. I'm gonna make my own game," and then they realize that it's a lot of work. They get like 10 pages into it, and they're like, this is hard." Then they just go back to playing D&D. I've seen it a dozen times easily. Some of the best DMs I ever had some of the greatest campaign setting stuff they made themselves, and they had so much potential, and they just were like, "Yeah, I know I have a lot of this written up, but it'd be too much work to make my own system." No, it's not. Shut up. Just do it. Get out there and do it. Dedicate the time to it. Don't wait for motivation. Just start doing it and stop complaining. Penis, hey, evil one. With blackjack and hookers. Absolutely, Lisa. It makes everything better. Blackjack and hookers. How could you go wrong? In fact, somebody should make a game called Blackjack and Hookers. It's all about gamblers and whores. Do it under the OGL. That's the type of stuff that'll get your OGL revoked. Who punched someone? Oh, the guy from one of the creators of Rick and Morty. Supposedly, allegedly. I don't fucking know. Not the fat guy with the beard, the other one. Thank you for the donation, Hunter Avalone. But I want you to sleep with my wife. No, I don't step on Beast Boy's territory. But thank you for the dono. Yeah, that's some stream lore from a different stream. Hunter should make that game. Laughing my ass up. Yeah. Only blue deck is successful with. I don't know shit about Magic anymore, dude. Not my conversation. All right, I'm just rambling now. Let's take a quick look at the Twitter machine, because this. Oh, I'll drop the link for the petition if you want to sign that stupid pointless shit. That thing's not going anywhere. Nobody's paying for a lawyer. They want a free lawyer to go sue Wizards for them. That's ludicrous, because he didn't say he's going to pay for this lawsuit. He just wants people to sign this petition, and nobody pays any attention to change.org. I mean, seriously, what are you changing? Who's going to be like, "Oh my God, I have to redo my entire life because people are very upset with me on the internet. Oh my God." Grow up. All right, so let's look at Twitter for a minute here. I got a few minutes to kill before I have to leave. Sign it purely for the memes, right? There's some hilarious responses in there. People that have no idea how companies work. Like, do you even have a job? Are you able to? Do your handler let you out without a helmet on so your soft spot's exposed? All right, so we got Destiny here, who says if they take a stand with them being under contract with D&D Beyond, being a major sponsor of their entire campaign, they could be hit with a major lawsuit, which could possibly end Critical Role. There's a good chance that they probably could have sued them already for using a bunch of D&D stuff that's probably not in the open game license. Let's be honest. If they wanted to sue Critical Role, they could have done it by now. Lawyers are real good at finding reasons to sue people. Critical Role will be probably very silent about this, expressing like mild dislike for part of it or something, but they know where their bread is buttered. Braston said, "I dare them to try and kill OGL 1.0A. I'll happily contribute to the price of an annual D&D Beyond subscription to a Pizio-led GoFundMe lawsuit." Pizio is not going to sue them. That would be really dumb. Just to watch WotC lose it all when a judge rules from the bench day one against them. No. Open D&D. I want free stuff. Meh. The ones with this hashtag are my favorites. I just typed in D&D lawsuit. Judge is not going to rule against WotC for changing the OGL. And Pazio is not going to sue them. Your D&D Beyond subscription will piss off Wizards and hurt them financially. That's about the only thing you can really do here. But you're going to donate that money away and not get any of the benefit. Why were you paying for it to begin with? I don't understand that. If you want all the free stuff from this company, why are you giving them money to use their shitty website? China still eats dogs despite all the petitions. True. And all the Coney 2012 shit didn't do anything to stop Coney from butchering people. Awesome. I dropped D&D long ago. Yeah, most people did. But they chased away a lot of the old fans. They took away the fun of mean stuff. They're trying to change the OGL to make it so that all D&D products would be copyrighted and therefore no one would be able to stream any campaigns, even their own. That's no. They already own the copyright on all D&D products, by the way. D&D official products are all owned by Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro. They already have them copyrighted. But there's a lawsuit because the original OGL has writing in it that's supposed to prevent this from happening. No, it doesn't. Section 9 says they can modify the OGL. Ironic that Dungeons & Dragons was once owned by a company called TSR, known for being very lawsuit happy. Yeah, they were, because they were protecting their intellectual property from people that were basically copying it. And they lost a few of those lawsuits. When Wizards bought them out to develop 3E, they created the OGL to ease players' fears about getting sued. No, you only had to be afraid if you were publishing stuff. Sitting around your table with your friends, the cops weren't going to kick in the door unless they thought you were Satanists or something for just playing a game with like your own universe or whatever. That's stupid. These people have no idea what they're talking about. More specifically, the OGL was designed to get people working in the D&D ecosystem rather than making their own games. It had a protection from lawsuit bullying as a necessary side effect of that. But its origins weren't exactly wholeheartedly altruistic. You expect a major company to be altruistic? You're ridiculously stupid. Could a class action lawsuit be used to fully force the D&D license and rules set into the public domain? No, it can't. Because you're stupid and you don't understand how intellectual property works. Intellectual property is one of the most sacred things in U.S. law. I don't know if you're aware of this, but it's how people like Edison got so rich and powerful that they helped make these laws. That's why people like Disney get the copyright law changed very frequently so that they can extend the time they own a creation. It's now the 70 years after the death of the creator currently for a copyright, because Disney wanted to maintain Mickey Mouse a little while longer. DC Comics also helped with that because they want to maintain Superman, and which is now owned by Warner Brothers because they own DC. I won't be surprised if this becomes a lawsuit. And if it does, I'll be throwing money away on the side that supports companies that aren't trying to burn the larger tabletop scene to the ground. They're not trying to burn it to the ground. They're trying to own it. Tabletop does not just exist as D&D, and WotC can't just revoke unrevocable agreements. You didn't read Section 9. So, yeah, this is just more people whining on Twitter. Is a class action lawsuit or any sort of lawsuit possible if they try? No, you're not going to win a lawsuit. It keeps going on with this lawsuit shit, threat of lawsuit. That's why I typed in D&D lawsuit. How much do they care about destroying goodwill toward D&D? Well, that's the thing. Public mind is short attention span theater. Whenever companies do stuff like this, like how many companies have had recalls? Remember the airbags from Takata that were like killing people quite literally? Sending shards of metal into people's skin? You know what Takata still does? They make fucking airbags. You know what Honda and all those other companies that had those airbags do? They make cars. You know why? Because people forget. They have short attention spans. They like products. They tend to be very brand loyal. And they will forgive companies through the justification and mental gymnastics it takes to continue to purchase a product. they'll say, "Oh, we're sorry, we got to do these new rules," and people will come back in a year and get it. They'll have tons of new customers by then because people seeing the shows and the movies and the video games or Stranger Things will buy stuff or get it for Christmas or whatever. D&D will be okay. It might get smaller for a little while, but they will come back. YouTube already tracks your history. Yep. Hey, just woke up. Hey, TOS, how you doing? Remember doing a law course in college. It was actually really interesting, like how there's difference between the words must and may. Yep. And I guarantee you the lawyers that crafted that gave themselves some kind of out. I know there have been some of the people that were on the original crafting team allegedly come out and say they can't revoke this. They can't revoke it, but they can modify it. And they can modify out all the stuff they don't like. Because modification works just like that. You change things. May means it's at their discretion. Exactly. And they want to be able to keep people from doing what I described earlier, like letting players be Nazis and giving D&D a bad name that way. The Satanic Panic actually made D&D more popular because people went and looked at what everybody was bitching about, and it made their sales go through the roof. This might actually have that inadvertent effect. They're pissing all the people off that are the current audience. The previous audience might see that and be like, this is an opportunity for us. Other people that are coming in will have no idea what the controversy is really about and buy some of the books to see what it's about. Or they'll chase these people out and there'll be an opportunity for a new audience, which is likely what's going to happen. I know I'm repeating myself a lot, but I think it's worth pointing this stuff out because a lot of people are just screaming that this is the death of D&D, and it's really not going to be. Especially not with all this new stuff coming out. They've got the new system coming out with Open D&D, or One D&D rather. One D&D or Sixth Ed, whatever they're going to end up calling it. They got the movie, they got the TV show, they've got video games, NFTs are going to come out. They'll probably have a set of drinking coasters or something equally kitschy and stupid like that because they've been whoring out D&D logos all over the place. Couple months and back to business as usual. Most people are goldfish. Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. But on that note, I think this is a good spot to wrap it up. I want to thank everybody for coming out. Thank you, Hunter, for the donation. And hope you guys had fun listening to me bitch and moan about dummies bitching and moaning. The sky is falling, JB. It's time to panic. No, D&D is going to continue to produce a lot of the same boring shit they've been producing. If anything, hopefully this will open the door for some good creators to come in and do official D&D products. Because maybe some of these clowns will leave the company and protest or something and take their little boring ideologies with them. But thank you guys for coming out. You guys are awesome. And as always, have a good time, and hopefully we will see you on the next one. Have a great day, everybody.